Generation X. That be me. Don't piss us off. Don't poke the bear. Because when you do, you get the Gen X stare. This is what I've been learning about my own generation because, as I have been saying, things on my YouTube algorithm have gone X Factor, for lack of a better word. Because of all of my series that I've been digging into between TikTok and YouTube on why we single at our age, why we're dating apps, the whole thing, I got a plethora of Gen X videos that made me proud, nostalgic, laugh out loud, say, you damn to the right, word up, that was us. So much so that I was playing some of it this morning while my son was putzing around, fixing things around the house. And he started laughing because remember, I raised him, the millennial. And he's like, I didn't realize. I'm like, oh, you have no clue. You have no clue. Okay. Let's start off with what I had said in my other video about being raised by baby boomers and what happens at 10 o'clock p.m. You thought I couldn't find it? Well, I did. And by the way, my name is Lena and welcome to my channel. I hope you enjoyed this reminiscent of memory lane for Gen X who are here watching my videos and anybody that comes in above or below. I think you could appreciate it. First up, 10 p.m. This is what we grew up like, okay? Stay tuned.
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
Hey! 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
Yep. I heard that every single night. Now, I did not know that there were celebrities doing these commercials. I got the one that was the last one, the last part, which was on the 10 o'clock news. Every night at the 10 o'clock news, we had to turn around and look and be like, we're here because that's the way we lived our lives. Okay. None of this, we didn't have a tracking system. We didn't have a phone. We didn't even have we had public phones, and we didn't even get allowances to get the nickel that it was to make the payphone call to our parents. But if our asses were not in the seat or in the bed or in the home by 10 p.m., there was going to be some whooping going because that was our bed. That was literally, what is it called? Not our bedtime, but the time that you're allowed to come home. I forgot the name of it because we don't do it very often. We don't talk about it. Mm-hmm. So as I was walking down the street one day, rummaging through the internets, I found this next clip where people think that Gen X, are we okay? Well, honey, this one, and I'm following her on TikTok, and I recommend that anybody who's a Gen Xer follows her too, because she's freaking hilarious. I am going to do a separate video on the different types of Gen X's that I experienced in my youthful years, because there is definitely a difference between suburban Gen X and growing up in urban Gen X. Wait for that one. That one's going to bring some people back some interesting memories from the people that, grew up in my culture. Let's do it. Yes, we are okay. And let her explain why. Stay tuned.
Is Gen X okay? No, seriously, are you guys okay?
What kind of stupid fucking question is that? We're fine. It's 2023. This shit is a cakewalk. We got like 900 TV channels and Prozac. Our kids are grown or almost grown, and our parents are either dead or too old to threaten to kill us every day. I brought you into this world. I could take you out of it. Our boomer parents could turn anything violent. Hey, Dad, can I get a paper towel? I'll paper your towel. We didn't have anti-bullying campaigns. Our parents bullied us. If we got hurt, like really hurt, our parents were pissed. Our parents would leave us places all the time. They'd forget us at the store, and there's no way to get a hold of them. So you just have to sit there and hope they came back for you. The school had to take our pictures and fingerprint us in case we got kidnapped. We were like 30 years old when we were 12. Already smoking cigarettes, drinking our parents' liquor. We are older than Google. We spent 30 years taking a dump without a cell phone, and no one had to tell us not to eat fucking laundry detergent. So yeah, I mean, we're okay. We're okay.
Yeah. You tell us, sister. Okay? Let me tell you something. A lot of that, most of it, all of it, for many people was true. Okay? You know why we didn't have to be told not to eat or drink laundry detergent? Because we were the ones doing laundry. Okay? I learned at a very young age how to fold and whites and separates and colors and temperatures. I didn't have no damn time to be sitting there looking at no damn laundry detergent and trying to say, oh, this looks good. Sorry, but it's the truth. And as far as being left behind, well, honey, I don't know about going to malls because I didn't go to malls. Because again, there's difference between the suburban and the urban and Stranger Things and stuff like that. But I can tell you this much. You know how I learned the New York City subway? Well, my mother, may she rest in peace, schizophrenic as she was, and it was not easy, would take us into the city every single weekend because that was her day off. And we were living with my grandmother and she needed a break. So she took my brother and me into the New York City subway system and we went everywhere in New York. I've seen Central Park from the rooter to the tutor, which is probably why it's my favorite place to go. Okay. I've done the Woman Rink. I've done Shakespeare in the Park, you know, that's now coming back. I've done the zoo. There was a lot of places that we were in the city. And you know what happened to me once or maybe twice? There was one time that I distinctly remember I had to be no older than 9, 10 years old. And it was crowded. It was the number 4 train and it was the Green Line. For those who don't know that, that's the Upper East Side, the East Side train. And I let go of my mother's hand and she got into the train with my brother and the doors closed and I was left at the station. And I could just see my mother banging on the window, crying and screaming. And then I said, all right, logically, what she's going to do is get off on the next station stop and I will get off on the next station stop. So I waited for the next train, 9 years old, and I got on the train on the same type of, car. So I know that she would be waiting for me there. And I got off and she was at the next station and she got me and I learned how to figure out the New York City subway system just like that. I was like, I didn't need no map. I didn't need no one to tell me anything. I knew where to get off when I got off, which was the best exit. It was called trial and error. Okay? Nowadays, if you lose your own phone, you could track it. Someone can track it for you. We didn't have any of that crap. We suffered and suffered hard. Okay, because there's many a times that I did get lost. And I need to figure out where north and south and east and west was as I was walking. Okay, that's how I got to know the city. I didn't have no Google Maps. I didn't have no MapQuest. I didn't have any of that. We barely had maps. Okay, you're not walking around the street because again, this is the city. This is not the suburban area. We didn't have any cars. Our parents weren't taking us up to the camp. We weren't driving to Florida. We weren't doing any of that nonsense. Okay, you are in an urban area. Your ass is either hoofing it, trains, buses. You're lucky if you have an automobile. You're lucky if you have a friend that has one. You were never getting on no damn motorcycle. And that was it. You figured it out. Okay, that's how we got through things. So yeah. We didn't even have Prozac. My parents didn't have Prozac. You know, the one thing that I could tell you that no one in my family smoked. That's one thing. We never had cigarettes around us. You know, that's probably one thing but it doesn't mean that none of my other parents' friends weren't smoking all over the place. We had secondhand smoke just walking out of the building. Okay? So, yeah. You people coming up from us, y'all need to take a chill pill. You are the ones who need the Prozac. And channels, television channels. Let me tell you something about television channels, okay? We had 5 channels. CBS, NBC, ABC, WPIX, which is Channel 11, which is where I got the addiction to The Odd Couple, because they were the one that would rerun some of the old TV shows. The Odd Couple, The Honeymooners, Star Trek. A lot of those old shows were on WPIX, and PBS, which is the public broadcasting station where we would watch Sesame Street, and that was it, 5 channels. And let me tell you something. Like I said before, we have one television in the house. When we moved to my grandmother's, when we had to move to live with my grandmother, she had her television in her room and we had the television in the living room. And in the mornings, it was the Cartoon Channel. That's how I got to know about Super Friends before it became the Justice League, Scooby-Doo. And then my brother took over and I got to know all about karate, Bruce Lee, Abbott and Costello. And then whatever movie that happens after that my mother wanted to watch, and it better not be on PBS on Saturday, because if that was PBS, we were screwed, okay, as children, okay? Because every time a PBS movie came on and my mother wanted to watch it, I didn't have a choice. That's how I learned about documentaries, and they had some of the worst acting in some of these shows. But my mother loved it, so I had to watch it, and so I got used to it. Or I was out in the street. Get out. Okay? There were no cell phones. There was one phone, landline, and it was the longest cord in history because we didn't even have cordless phones yet. Okay? When I was growing up, we had the long cord that wrapped around the city block, and you walked around your house trying to hide to have a conversation. And it was one phone, and we didn't have call waiting back then. Call waiting or 3-way calling, because when that came in, it was a shit show. It was on like Donkey Kong. Okay? But me growing up as a kid, I got no phone calls. I got a knock on the door. Can you come out to play? Mom, yes. Get out. Great. See you at night. Okay, 10 p.m., my ass is home. You people nowadays are spoiled. Let's talk about how we dealt with phones back in our day. Stay tuned.
Today's question for Gen X. How did you guys used to block people and not talk to people when you didn't want to talk to them on old phones like this? What do you do?
So it's gonna ring. I'm done. Bitch! And they're gonna call back. Quit calling me back! And then they're gonna call back again, so we did this. That was the blocking feature on phones phones like that. Any other questions?
Before the smartphones, we had the simple idiot phones. And I will do you even one better than what we just watched. You know how we communicated? Because we were latchkey kids, as I explained before. Most of our generation went home and we were by ourselves. We had keys to our own apartments or units or houses or whatever the hell, and we would sit there and wait for our parents or a parent or adult show up. We had codes. One ring, hang up. We knew who it was. We would assign it to a person. It would be either our mother or our grandmother or someone in that relation. 2 rings, hang up. We assigned it to a person. 3 rings, and it kept ringing after that. We're not answering the phone. Because it's either a 1 or 2 ring. I don't know how anybody else did it, but in my house, I only had my mother and my grandmother. They knew what time we were supposed to get home. We would wait for the phone to ring. We knew if it was going to be grandma or mom calling, because it was either a 1 ring or a 2 ring, because I didn't have my dad, and it was me and my brother. So I knew if it was 1 ring and hung up and called back, mom was calling, pick up the phone. 2 rings, hang up, call again, my grandmother was calling. She rarely called because she worked as a seamstress, but whenever my mom couldn't reach us or something like that, or she knew my mom was not going to be able to call, she made sure that you're home, you're good, okay, bye. So do we get a snack? Do we have juice boxes? Hell no. Okay? There's no snacking. There are no juice boxes. You open the fridge, you figured it out. I was cooking since I was 3 years old. My grandmother picked me up, put me on a stool. She goes, girl, you need to know how to make some white rice. I'm like, okay. What's rice? I could barely speak. That was my earliest memory of my grandmother. Mejita, come here. Okay? It was always, Mejita, you need to learn how to do this. Mejita, you need how to do this. And it wasn't for no damn man, though she did say that plenty of times. But she also said, and when you go live on your own, I'm like, are you kicking me out? Little did I know that she was right. I did end up leaving at 18 and being on my own, and I knew how to do everything. I knew how to sew, cook, clean, wash, do everything. And I am grateful for that. Because kids nowadays, they don't even want to they don't even clean their own cup when they put it in the sink. They want to get paid an allowance. Let me tell you what an allowance was with if my son ever watches this, he'll understand this. Let me explain to you what an allowance was. Okay? I allowed you to live in my house. I allowed you to eat my food. I allowed you to have a roof over your head and have water and light. That's your allowance. Now go pick up the garbage and go downstairs and throw it out. That is how my son was raised. And he will tell you that to this day. An allowance? Are you high? I barely can make ends meet for us. We need to work together and figure this out. Now kids want to get paid to wash a dish. Not just any dish, even their own dish, if you could believe that. There is no togetherness. There is no village now. It's, I'm on my screen time. You want me to do something? Pay me. Okay. Let's take a look at the next segment. Hey, and if you're enjoying this, and I'm bringing value to you, memories, nostalgia, memories, and you like my singing, then there's something wrong with you. But I love you anyway. Whatever it is that's floating your boat right now that you want to stay with me and grow with me on this channel as we take a walk down every lane I can find because my YouTube algorithm tells me so, I hope you consider subscribing. And if you're enjoying this, I hope you consider subscribing, liking, hyping, sharing, pushing it to the algorithm, because the algorithm of YouTube doesn't want to do anything and they make you do your work for us as we work for you. They're just a platform and we're just all peanuts trying to get a nut. There you go. Let's take a look at this clip because I think this was funny too. I'm enjoying this. I think I'm going to do one of these every Friday because it's the weekend and I want to bring laughter and joy because I am so sick of the crap that's going on in this world. I don't know about you, but I need to laugh. Laughter, your heart is unhappy. Stay tuned.
This is why you don't want to mess with anybody from Gen X, okay? Pretty much everybody over the age of 42, their families had them formally trained in something by the age of 2. By age 5, had the keys to the house. By age 9, could all cook for ourselves, do our own laundry. Summertime, we left the house every morning, pretty much lived off garden hose for water, and if you're at a buddy's house, parents had a sandwich for you. That was cool too. We spent about 3/4 of our childhood up to the age of 18 seeing our parents a couple times a month if they checked in on us because we were just pretty good on our own. Didn't have phones, so didn't get invited to the party on Friday night. No big deal. You didn't even know about it till Monday morning anyway. No phones meant we actually knew how to communicate with other people. No texting, no LOL, TTYL, all that stuff. And the best part is there's no video evidence of anything we did. Gen X, the real FAFO generation.
Yeah, baby. Born before the internet. My secrets are safe. We are the last generation. There's no record of it. There's no film. If you were lucky, somebody had a Polaroid and they took a picture and you got to see it instantaneously. Otherwise, we didn't walk around with cameras. Are you crazy? We didn't walk around with any of that madness. What we knew is what we knew and what we kept in here. And keeping secrets was a pinky and a swear and a punch in the face if you didn't freaking keep your secrets, okay? None of this madness of oversharing on TikTok and YouTube and all this other madness and, you know, telling everybody your personal business, their personal business, his personal business, your ex, your wife, everything. None of that. Listen, we would get smacked in the face for even gossiping. Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know about your family, but we don't play that. We were gossip amongst ourselves in the family, but we were keeping things in the family. That was real. We don't tell anybody your business. Okay, right? And as far as by the age of 2, we were formally skilled at something. Like I told you, I learned how to cook at 3 years old. So I totally got that reference. I was like, yep. We parents check in on us. I had one parent. I thankfully, you know, my grandmother, I lived with my grandmother, so she came home every day. But my mother, we would be shipped off to freaking Orlando for the entire summer with my grandmother. The entire summer. So my mother could have the summer alone. So, yeah, I totally get that. You know, and over there, I'm sorry, it's changing my screensaver. So it's the color is not, you're not crazy. You're not alone. So yeah, it's completely true. I would not see my mother the entire summer. I would be in Orlando or Puerto Rico. Orlando for 1 month, and then we go to Puerto Rico for the other month. And then come back September at school. And she'd be like, how was your summer? I'm like, oh, great, because I have to write it for school now. And every day when the first week of school come, tell us about your summer vacation. That was it. So as far as, you know, helicopter moms or helicopter parents, the only helicopter we saw was the one that was flying over us in the news channels. And that was it. We didn't have anybody supervising us. We knew how to cook, clean. I told you, I did everybody's laundry. Okay? We lived in an apartment building. There was a laundromat in the bottom. And I would spend my Sundays coming downstairs, not the elevator, with laundry bags. And I would sit in the laundry room with no smartphone, just a magazine of whatever I was reading. And I had to do everybody's laundry in the house. My mother, my grandmother, my brother, and mine. That was my Sunday. Y'all spoiled. You freaking brats. And and we don't complain, okay? Because that was our life. Baby boomers would tell us constantly how they had it so hard. And then as our grandparents were the greatest generation, you know, they went to school with no shoes. It was always the no shoes in the winter with no coat and, you know, barely a hat and gloves because we were in New York City. So, you know, that was that generation. We were just sitting there like, okay, thank you for the shoes. I'm grateful for the gloves. And I'm happy that I'm able to walk to school alone with shoes and gloves. Tell me you can't relate. Let's take a look at the next clip and discuss. Stay tuned.
Do you want to see why Gen Xers leave our hair long, why we don't cut it? Take a look, because when we were 14, we looked 41. Golden Girl vibes. The Long Island housewife. She drives a mean minivan. She eats dinner at 5:30. 14 going on 53. She's your twice divorced auntie.
Do I need to tell you anything else? I think not. When I saw that, it clicked. I was like, I was number 3 and 4. In high school, my mom cut off all of my hair. And I looked like that. And it wasn't the Demi Moore look. No, it was that look of number 3 and 4. You can go back and rewatch it. And most of my friends had that hair. So I'm not letting this go. I don't care how gray I get, how wrinkly I get. I'm keeping this hair if I have to weave it, sew it, wig it, extension it, cornroll it. I don't care. I'm keeping my long hair for as long. They're gonna bury me in my hair. I'll be the old lady that buried in her hair. I won't do it. If I do it, I will tell you, but I won't do it. I suffered. I have pictures of me with my short hair, and I cry to this day when I look at it. Me no like. hated my hair. So the minute I get hair, long hair, that's it. I'm giving it. I don't care. I don't care if you don't like weaves. I don't care if you don't like extensions. I don't care if you don't like wigs. It's not your hair. It's not your problem. It's mine. I will do whatever I gotta do to keep my hair intact. Do you hear me? I'm not going to do it again. Next up. Tell me if you can concur with this, because I know a lot of my women my age are keeping their long hair for various reasons, and I'm telling you what mine is. Let me know if you have the same thing. If not, let's take a look at the next clip. Subscribe.
And when y'all are saying that y'all used to drink from the hose, were sinks not an option?
For fuck's sake. Who's gonna tell him? You want me to tell him? I'll tell him. We weren't allowed in the house. I don't know why that's so hard for people to understand. Our childhood was like one never-ending episode of that TV show Survivor, okay? We are indestructible. We've never sat in car seats. Nobody's ever given us swimming lessons. We've all been either shot with a BB gun or stabbed with a fucking jart. The television stations had to make a commercial reminding our parents that they had kids. I shit you not. Every night on the 10 p.m. news, a voice would come on and say, "It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?" To remind our parents that they had fucking kids. So, no, sir, shirtless with the beanie, sinks were not an option.
I'll do one better for you, because that was the suburban version of the garden hose. We had no garden. I lived in a 5-floor, for about first 5-6 years of my life, a 5-floor walk up in the Bronx. Okay. So, and then, we moved to a much larger apartment building, and then it had an elevator. We didn't know no damn gardens. We had no gardens. We had no garden hose. We had fire hydrants. Okay. 10 a.m. As soon as, we were able to get up, brush our teeth, and get the hell out of the house, and we got kicked out, whether we got kicked out forcefully or we said we're leaving by because our friends came to pick us up, that fire hydrant was on all damn day. It's predominantly in the summer. In the winter, it wasn't like that. And after school, we were allowed to play outside in the front. And there was no going around too much. There was the front where our grandmothers or mothers or somebody in the building would say, "It's time to come home. It's time for lunch. It's time for dinner. It's time for something." But we were in front. Cars were passing. Cars could have hit us. People were passing. They could have grabbed us. They didn't care. We were in front of the house. Okay. We had a fire hydrant every block. Drove the firefighters crazy, because if there was a real fire, there'd be no water. They used to try to lock the fire hydrants, and I don't know how, but somebody figured out how to open it. And if that one wasn't locked, we found another one that we can get. Okay. But there were no garden hoses. Nobody had any flowers. Okay. We weren't watering the trees that were placed by the city in front of the apartment buildings. Okay. We didn't give a shit. All right. But I could see where people get confused. We weren't allowed in the house. Weeknights was different. Weekends, you're out. Winters, you better pray you have a friend that has a friend that can let you stay in your house that your mother knew or your father knew, or they can at least know each other if they were lucky to even give a shit. Okay? And it was predominantly in the building. Maybe we're allowed to go across the street. But that window, you need to be able to see it from the window from your parents' house, at least. Because the one time they would check, they need to make sure that somebody's actually in that house. But I remember being in people's houses, and my mom was like, yeah, I'm good. Same with my friends. If they even cared. So that's my version of a fire hose or a garden hose or hose or whatever the hell they're talking about. Fire hydrants. And I don't think they do that anymore. I don't remember seeing that a lot now. I think they do have a lock on the locks now. Now, this next clip was a personal one to me because it represents my birthday, which is Halloween. And she couldn't have put it any better. I couldn't have said it any better. So let's review, and I'll get back to you. Stay tuned.
When people dress up as someone from the 80s for Halloween, why do they dress like this? Absolutely nobody looked like that in the 80s, especially on Halloween. We looked like this. Every single member of Gen X can smell this photo. It's like a vinyl, like plasticky paint smell. Our parents took about 3 or 4 pictures of us a year, and Halloween was always one of them. You knew before you went out trick-or-treating, you had to line up with your cousins in front of the fireplace in your highly flammable costume with your mom, chain-smoking Virginia Slims, like, say trick-or-treat. The eye holes in those masks never lined up with your actual eyes. We would push our tongue through the slit in the mask. It would cut our tongue, but then we'd keep doing it again because we were like eaten up with like OCD and ADD and nobody cared. The great thing about our garbage bag costumes were that they weren't the actual like costume of the person. It just had a photo of who we were on the front. And these costumes sounded exactly how you think they would sound. You could hear like a herd of us coming up the driveway, just swish, 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 in our garbage bags. We worked so hard for our candy. We walked so far. If your mask was still working, you were sweating under it, like lip beads of sweat, and it's just sliding around everywhere. We could haul our body weight in candy. If you were a house that gave out this orange and black candy, just know everyone hated you. I still hate you. I can hold a grudge. I'm like, look at these photos. Weird, terrifying. No wonder people tried to poison us.
Well, again, she's not wrong. I could just tell you the other version of costumes that we had in the hood, in the Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, Staten Island, okay? We had the masks. They were horrible. But then we would have pajamas with coats because it was cold and boots, okay? Of whatever superhero underwear that we got sometime during the year or maybe for Christmas. If you were lucky, you got a cape, okay? If you were lucky, you were a princess, you got a wand. I have to tell you, I don't remember when Party City was open, but it wasn't open when we were doing trick or treat, okay? I know that, I want to say, I don't remember ever going Halloween shopping for costumes with my mom. I know they existed because she would come home with the mask, those masks. Oh my God. When I saw that picture, I had, PTSD? Okay. Now, thankfully, I only had one time I had to wear that mask because I wanted to be a princess. But guess what was my other costume every single year? You guessed it, because it's my birthday. A witch. So I always had the recycled witch hat that I've had for many, many years. Something black and maybe something frilly with some wand. My brother always had one of those superhero things, and we always got some superhero underwear during the Christmas for him. So whatever he had for Christmas is what he's wearing for October. So if he was going to be Spider-Man, that was going to be Spider-Man. That was it. But those plastic things were a nightmare. Okay. I think that they sold them at like Woolworths, which for many who don't know or remember, Woolworth was the original dollar store, 5 and dime, whatever the hell you want to call it. But they were very, very predominant. I remember going to Woolworths all the time. All the time. We lived in Woolworths. That was the shit back then. That's when crap was better than the crap that being sold at the dollar store. Okay. I'm guessing that's where she got it. But everybody in the block had it, and we all looked the same. It's the same plastic princess, the same plastic superhero, the same plastic whatever the hell we were wearing. We couldn't distinguish each other unless we called group A, group B, and we would lift our mask and we knew which group we were in. That was it. That was my birthday. And those were the costumes. That's, what is it called? The days of our lives. Now, you have to spend $200 on a costume for these bratty kids. Okay? They have to go all out with the Iron Man, with the real Iron Man mask, with that lifts up with, what the hell? Are you kidding me? No. Not doing. And then you have to dress up like a princess, like a robe, like Elsa, like Frozen, and you got the whole paraphernalia with the wings, and I'm like, my son had much better costumes. I never put him in one of those. I don't even think they had them when he was born. He was always Batman. He was either Batman or Superman, predominantly Batman. And I got him the official Party City Batman outfit. Because Party City was open and they had costumes. I was not putting my child in those plastic things. I believe I have pictures of them. I won't be showing it to you. For our last video, but not least, let's give you some info on Gen X. And let's discuss. Because It's true.
Facts about Gen X. We're the last generation to know a world without cell phones. We're the last generation to know a world without internet. The last generation to know a world without cable TV. The last generation to know a world without remote-controlled televisions. The last generation forced to use 2 keys for your car, one to get in the door, one for the ignition. The last generation to not only use corporal punishment, but it was encouraged with things like spare the rod, spoil the child. But the best thing about Gen X is that our music was so cool, it's still trending 40 years later.
Born before the internet. Like I said, that is Gen X. We are the last bridge between the boomers and the greatest generation. We are in between that psycho madness, and we could remember everything that these generations will never, ever understand, get. They're going to have stories about us. The only thing I can tell you is that if they continue watching shows like Friends, Martin, Seinfeld, all of these wonderful shows that actually existed back then, not replications like that 70 shows and stuff like that. Talking about real everyday living. If you notice, there are no cell phones on that show, Friends. We didn't have any of that, and it was real. It wasn't something that people were making up or recreating or whatever, the sequels or anything like that. It was literally an answering machine, no cell phones, landlines. You communicated, you went to a coffee shop, you talked, you saw each other. I think that's going to be the nostalgia that keeps this next generation's understanding our generation, because it's so beloved. It's so real. If they even are staying interested, because like he said, our music was so fat ass that it's coming back in style. Our styles are coming back in styles. Okay. We saw it all. And I'm not taking away from the millennials, and I'm not taking away from the ones that are coming up right now. You're going to have your own things to remember, but the technology is going to be so fast. It's going to make so many changes that you may not like. At least when we were making the changes in technology, it was really helping us, in the sense that we were seeing and helping, and it was breathing and it was growing. Now it's threatening. It's scary. They're going to take your jobs. It's jumped so fast between one generation to the next that these generations are becoming, I don't know what the technology is going to be. And when we fade away, when we go, when this generation is completely eradicated, the millennials are going to look back and be like, Generation X. Yeah. And the ones that are coming up are going to look back and be like, wow, I wonder what it was like to actually have a conversation. And the beautiful thing about that is that I encourage as many Generation X to be on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all that crap, and memorialize it. And this is the most real-time version that these other kids are going to be able to understand and see and feel. And if you're a baby boomer, get on here, because we need your memories too. Y'all scared us a little bit. A lot of it. Okay. But, you have a right to, defend yourself, explain yourself, be on here and talk. I watch some of them. I actually think they're pretty good. The people in the retirement home are hilarious. You've got the greatest generation. They're slowly fading out. If you have anybody, record them. Because this is the only thing that's going to keep up a perspective that the documentaries cannot capture. It's good to listen to them and watch them, but it's something different when it's coming from this point of view. When I'm talking to you like this, I could only be so lucky if 10, 20 years from now, someone finds this and like, wow, that must have been kind of cool. And the string of other Generation X that are popping up now, and they're coming on camera and talking, I think that that's the best part of it. I get to see different people from different lifestyles still grow up in my generation. And even though it may not be the same thing because you're more suburban, I'm more urban, but there's a connective tissue because we all went through the same thing. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have phones. We had 5 channels. We were kicked out of the house, and different versions of how that lasted for us. It still was a connective tissue. We were still watching the same shows. We were still, playing with the telephone with the long cord or disconnecting it or whatever the hell it is. However version it is so fun for me to watch people in my generation that I will never meet, but I already know them. If that makes sense. I know what they're talking about. I instantaneously turn my head and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that. So I encourage that. And if you don't want to, you could always come to these channels and hype, like, subscribe, share, show some love, give me some comments. I love to go back and forth with you, and not just my channel, anybody else's channel. And I appreciate that. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this made you laugh. I hope that you have a wonderful weekend, and this is Friday, and that this brings you some memories that you may have forgotten, or it, for the younger ones, may encourage you to go talk to some Generation Xers and be like, hey, tell me how you grew up. I like to hear about that. So, as I always end it, I wish you all a beautiful day, blessed weekend, blessed week, month, year. And from here, from this generation, from the ones behind and in front of us and around the world that I reach, I want to wish everybody a beautiful, beautiful day. Goodbye and beyond.